Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something, well, pretty profound happening in cities all over the world. It's this quiet revolution of walkability. We're seeing it everywhere, from LA to Lagos, really. It's not just, painting a bike lane here or there. It's deeper. It's about reshaping cities away from cars, which, let's face it, have dominated for decades. So our mission today is simple. We've gathered a lot of material on the benefits, the economic wins, the social pluses, the health boosts when cities put people first. We want to unpack how designing for people, not just for speed, signals this really big cultural shift in what we think urban progress even means.
Yeah, and if you step back and look at the big picture, what we're really tackling is the fallout from the 20th century model. I mean, for generations, city planning was all about speed, efficiency. Think about it. Massive highways slicing through communities, huge parking lots instead of parks. It gave us sprawl, didn't it? And all the problems that come with the traffic, pollution, feeling isolated. But now things are shifting. You've got rising costs, the climate crisis hitting home, and honestly, just people rethinking their lives after the pandemic. They want more from their neighborhoods. So the pendulum is definitely swinging back. People are demanding places they can actually live, work, connect, all without jumping in a car for every little thing. The sources we looked at, they make it clear. Walkable cities are kind of the antidote we need.
Okay, right. Let's dig into that then. What exactly makes a city walkable? Like structurally? And what are the immediate payoffs our sources point to? Let's get specific. Well, when planners talk walkability, they're looking at concrete things, infrastructure, right? Sidewalks wide, clear ones, trees for shade, benches to sit on, crosswalks that feel safe, with clear signals. But underneath it all, it's about connection. Can you walk from your home to shops, to a park, to get essentials, say within maybe a 10-minute stroll? That's the real measure.
And that accessibility, it has these huge, almost predictable health benefits. I mean, it sounds obvious walking is good for you, but the key insight here is it encourages incidental activity. You're not like dragging yourself to a gym. You're just living. And this steady, low-impact movement, it's proven to cut down on chronic stuff like heart disease, diabetes, obesity rates drop across the population. It's significant.
Okay, but here's where I think it gets really interesting. It goes way beyond just the physical side. It's the mental and social lift. Our sources talk a lot about something many city dwellers feel, that sense of isolation.
Oh, absolutely. There's this really striking finding, I think it was from the Urban Land Institute in 2024. They found people in very walkable areas reported feeling significantly less lonely. And that hits on the cultural piece, right? Walkability creates chances for spontaneous interaction. The design actually slows things down, allows for what they call unplanned collisions, saying hi to a neighbor, bumping into a shop owner, just pausing to watch street life.
That's such a key point. We build for speed, thinking faster is better, but we kind of forget that human connection happens at, human speed. Take away the car, slow it down, and suddenly people feel more ownership of the public space. That feeling of belonging, it's hard to put a number on it, but the research confirms it's vital for a city's resilience.
Exactly. It's like we're seeing a shift in urban psychology. When you reduce the stress of constant high-speed traffic, people are naturally less defensive, more open. The city stops being this obstacle course you just need to get through quickly. It becomes instead more like shared ground, a common space.
Okay, let's pivot a bit from well-being to the wallet, because this shift also makes a ton of economic sense. For individuals, yes, but also for the city's budget. Think about local businesses. The link is really direct. Our sources show foot traffic isn't just a replacement for car traffic. It actually increases something called dwell time. If you're whizzing by in a car, you're gone, anonymous. But if you're walking, you might pause, look in a window, maybe pop in for something you didn't even plan to buy. That's that local multiplier effect kicking in. A casual stop becomes real community investment.
And there's solid data on this. Groups like Smart Growth America, they've quantified the return. They found every dollar put into good pedestrian and cycling infrastructure. It doesn't just return a dollar, it brings back several dollars. That comes through local economic growth, more tax revenue, and importantly, big savings in public health costs down the road.
Yeah.
So walkability isn't just a nice-to-have amenity anymore. It's becoming core financial strategy for cities.
And we also see it clearly in property values, right? Walkable areas just command higher prices. But that immediately brings up a really critical question, which I hope the sources tackle. Doesn't that create a risk of gentrification? Pushing people out? How do we make sure these perks aren't just for the rich?
That is the absolute crux of the challenge, isn't it? The sources definitely acknowledge this tension. Rising property values signal success, yes, that people want to be there. But without careful policy, walkability can absolutely become exclusionary. You risk creating these walkable bubbles just for the wealthy. That's why the policy side we'll get into is so crucial. You need to balance the economic upsides with equity planning, things like inclusionary zoning, maybe rent stabilization, alongside the infrastructure work. But sticking with the economics for just another moment, let's tie that back to the environment too, because every step someone takes instead of driving, well, it saves money and helps the planet.
Exactly. The environmental argument is just undeniable. Cars are still the biggest source of greenhouse gas emissions in most cities. Fact. So replacing those short car trips, driving 3 blocks for milk with walking or biking, it slashes carbon emissions drastically, and it makes the air cleaner almost immediately. Something that often gets missed, though, is the health costs tied directly to those emissions. Less car dependence means less asthma, less bronchitis, fewer respiratory problems linked to exhaust fumes. So walkability becomes this immediate local climate action that also saves huge amounts on healthcare.
And you see cities really leading the way globally. Places like Copenhagen or Tokyo show you can have incredible density that's also efficient and really pleasant to navigate on foot. But it's happening here too in the U.S. Cities like Portland, Austin, even Charlotte places really built around the car. They're now actively retrofitting. They're taking back street space from vehicles and giving it back to people for shared use.
Okay, so if the benefits are so clear, health, community, economy, environment, what's stopping this from happening everywhere? Let's talk about the roadblocks. Creating truly walkable cities means serious policy shifts, right? That's the big hurdle.
Yeah, it's fascinating because often the biggest barrier isn't lack of interest. It's decades of, frankly, outdated zoning laws that are just baked into the system.
Yeah.
When we talk zoning, we mean those rules that force users apart.
Yeah.
Housing here, shops there, offices way over there. You can't have a small cafe on a residential street. You can't live above the grocery store.
And the killer is often minimum parking requirements, isn't it? These rules that say every new building, no matter what, needs X number of parking spots per apartment or per square foot.
Precisely. It basically mandates car ownership and forces sprawl. All that land dedicated to parking. It could be housing or green space or small local businesses. So real walkability demands we tear down those old rules. We need zoning that allows for mixed-use homes, offices, shops, all integrated on the same block, even in the same building. If you can just walk downstairs or down the street to get what you need, the car becomes less essential.
But okay, even if we fix the zoning, there's still this critical issue of equity. Who actually gets to enjoy these walkable streets? Safety is huge, especially for, say, seniors, people with disabilities, women walking alone at night.
Yeah, the sources really highlight this sort of geography of neglect. You often see high-income areas with beautiful wide sidewalks, great lighting, dedicated bike lanes, but then you go to lower-income neighborhoods and you find cracked sidewalks, maybe blocked by trash cans, crosswalk signals that don't work, streets where cars fly by way too close. It's dangerous and discourages walking. And that's not an accident, usually. Historically, funding has prioritized moving cars through neighborhoods quickly rather than making it safe for people within them.
So the absolute imperative here is inclusion. Real walkability has to be for everyone, no matter their zip code. Every single resident should feel safe walking to their kid's school or to work or just to the corner store. It needs to shift from being a luxury to being a basic right.
Looking forward now, where does technology fit into this? It seems like the future is about blending this human-centered design with smart tech, but tech that serves the pedestrian, not the car.
That's a really critical distinction, I think. It's not about making the old car-centric system just, faster or more efficient. It's about changing the fundamental priorities. And we're already seeing early examples, sensors at crosswalks that detect how many people are waiting and actually change the light signal for the walkers, cutting down that annoying wait time.
Or what about integrating environmental tech? Like smart green corridors using sensors to track air quality and temperature, while the plantings themselves provide shade, cool the air, manage rainwater runoff. Or even things like mixed reality apps, maybe guiding you through historic parts of town or helping you navigate, but without forcing you to stare down at a phone screen the whole time. Enhancing the walk itself. It feels like this fusion of tech and planning is really about redefining mobility. The goal isn't just speed anymore, is it? It's moving smarter, prioritizing that quality of life.
That's precisely the takeaway, I think. Technology has to serve the human goals, connection, well-being, safety, not just the old mechanical goal of pure speed or efficiency.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean? This deep dive really shows that the push for walkability isn't just about infrastructure. It's profoundly human. It's challenging that whole 20th century story that progress equals speed. It feels like a collective remembering that the most valuable resource in our cities isn't actually space for cars, but the shared public space that lets us connect and build resilience together.
Yeah, it really invites all of us, to look at the streets we live on, the neighborhoods we move through, and ask, was this designed for isolation or was it designed for interaction? It's a continuous process, though. It's tough work, changing policy, investing equitably, one sidewalk, one community at a time.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener. If these smart city technologies really do start to consistently prioritize pedestrians, maybe through policies forcing shared streets or mixed-use zoning, how might that fundamentally change the value we put on getting somewhere fast versus, say, the actual tangible emotional quality of life right where we live? Maybe think about your own commute, your own neighborhood through that walkable lens.